This is Duke University.
It's now my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you our nominated class speaker, someone I consider to be not only a classmate, but also my mentor, role model, and dear friend. Please join me in welcoming Monica VanBuskirk from the great Section 5. Dear deans, esteemed faculty, loving family, friends, honorable guests, thank you for joining us today. Dear class of 2013, hey you guys. I wrote something, but I'm not gonna use that. On Thursday, I mentioned that in order to be a courageous leader of consequence, you first have to be terrified. Well, try going from never having given a public presentation to speaking in Cameron in front of 2,500 people. I am so lucky this podium is hiding my knees right now. As my classmates know, while we're at Fuqua, we're given countless pieces of advice about how to craft our resumes. We're coached to create a single sheet of paper that tells a story about what we've learned over time. But I find that the most authentic pieces of information are those that never appear on that paper. For me, that time appears as a 9-month gap between undergrad and a manual labor job at a warehouse in Massachusetts. In that gap is the first time that I moved to North Carolina. I accepted a job teaching at a private school about an hour west of here. And although I'd come out as LGBT in my interview, after 5 months, the headmaster called me into his office and asked that I consider the nature of the community and not to do anything that made others uncomfortable. He was basically asking me to go back in the closet. I was so angry and so deeply betrayed. I resigned from my first full-time job and moved back to Massachusetts for the next 9 years. This is why, when I was faced with the decision of whether or not to return to North Carolina for Fuqua, I was terrified. Possibly the only thing more terrifying than speaking in Cameron is realizing that you have to come out to your new business school classmates back in North Carolina. But let's be honest, you guys, we all have something to come out about. So I'm asking all of you, right now, what's something you're afraid to do? What feels both terrifying and authentic? Or to quote Sheryl Sandberg, what would you do if you were not afraid? Incredibly, I was able to answer that question at Fuqua because you, my classmates and colleagues, did the hard work to just let me come out as authentically me. The only reason I'm able to lead healthcare discussions and advocate for others is because you have already stepped up and created this phenomenal community where everyone is celebrated. To be in a place where you don't have to worry about being ridiculed or tormented because of who you are, regardless of race, religion, country, or family structure, is an amazing feeling, and you just don't get that everywhere. But we have that here, and everyone has something to come out about. You guys know how awesome it is when that happens. What about when someone comes out as an aspiring filmmaker or actor? Or someone with a closet full of Hawaiian shirts, or as a wild version of Madonna singing Like a Prayer, or as a seriously brave opera singer, or as a to-be parent, or as a professional cyclist, or as someone who's pretty good at the qualitative stuff but really terrible at anything mathy, or as an international student who doesn't always speak in class, not because you don't know the answer, but because you are seriously tired from doing the readings in a foreign language. Or as a wild and sassy dancer trapped in a librarian's body. Or as someone who knows it's crazy to take on MBA level debt for a social impact salary, but you deeply believe that the world needs that kind of risk taker. And finally, as a classmate who still doesn't have a job at graduation. So many of us have already shared something that's true and authentic, but it's also terrifying. Because you see, the second half of courage is being convinced that something is so important, you do it anyway. If you've shared something terrifying and genuine, it's not because you're super strong or you have muscles like Michael Bruno or Jacqueline Harris. It's because Fuqua has created this absurdly unique place where you can be your authentic self, because your classmates have done the heavy lifting. Oh, crap. Okay, because we've all jumped into this pool of trust together, we also all get to reap the absurdly amazing rewards. We get to be led by the Anjali Menons and the Ali Rulis and the Dawn Arthurs and the Gina Rodriguezes and the Fiona Yus of the world. So if you haven't already, come out as your true and authentic self. Will you? More importantly, and you guys have to listen to this part, stop tweeting. Will you make sure that the people who work for you can also do that? Because if you can do for your professional colleagues what you have done over these last years, that's going to be outrageously amazing. The ability to give bravery to those around you is transformative. Just look at what you've done for me. This is not the North Carolina that I left out of fear and disillusionment. This is a North Carolina where I'm respected and encouraged. I am eternally indebted to you who've invested in our community. Because of you, my resume has a new listing. It's aptly named Fuqua Pride. And I imagine the hundreds of people that you're going to lead in your career, and I am blown away. If you give them the same strength to be terrifyingly authentic, then you will undoubtedly lead incredible organizations. I don't take it lightly when I say that you are going to change the world. So to put the BLATES, the bottom line at the end of the speech, be terrifyingly authentic. Yes, class of 2013, you get your pansy little rear ends up out of those seats. You march out those doors with your hotter than a teen vampire novel MBA, and you lead a terrifyingly authentic Deloitte, John Deere, Kraft, Goldman & Sachs, Apple, Samsung. You get some brave freaking employees to come out wherever they are, and who are really who they are because you are truly who you are. And you do it with gusto, like Denzel hitting threes over UNC at Blue Cup all night long. And then you do not pat yourself on the back for changing the world. You turn to Team Fuqua and you say thank you, grazie, obrigado, arigata, danke, Shalom, vetoro raba. In pishale dosal se mere dost au shukshuk honye kelie dianyavad. Spasibo, druzia. Shieshienye du oyi ye. Especialmente gracias a mis amigas latinas por las sonrisas y su amor. If you guys have any questions about what I just said, just ask Paul Sadlowski. Go get it, Fuqua.
Produced by Duke University. Online at duke.edu.